Hello, everyone. It's good to see you, Pamela, a two-time ugly sweater winner in a row.
Thank you. But I'm coming for Miss Farrar.
Oh, that's right. I forgot.
I'm coming for her.
Don't come for me.
I can't wait to see 2022 ugly sweater competition.
And it was such a pleasure meeting Miss Farrar. She is awesome.
She is.
She is
awesome. Pleasure meeting you too.
Thank you. Oh, let me put my information in before I forget. I'm going to try to make all the meetings, but I may have to jump off and on a couple of them because I'm moving around.
Well, we thank you for prioritizing this work. We really appreciate it.
I always do. Any information that I can get that will help our veterans and any information that I might have, but I don't really think we have anything above what you guys have. Wake County is awesome.
Thank you. I see Miss Betty Corbett. You know what, Donna and Diana, this is the first time we met, so Happy New Year. I know it's a little late, but still, Happy New Year, everyone.
Happy New Year to you all, everyone.
Yes. Miss Corbett, Happy New Year. How? Irene Lawrence, good to see you. Sinead. Yes. I see someone's called in as well. So while we're waiting, we can go ahead and get everyone, and I should do it as well, to put our name and contact information, your email. We always ask everyone, I know it's a small group today, but we ask everyone to do it because sometimes our contact information changes, and it helps us to take attendance. I see someone's calling in, and so if you will unmute yourself and let us know who you are, one of us will put your name in there as well. And that's to the individual joining us from 919-436-0225. All right, Diana, it's 12:34. You want to go ahead and kick it off? I think we're going to go ahead and go from here.
Okay, I was kind of waiting around for Natalie. But anyway, I would like to welcome everyone to our subcommittee, our housing subcommittee meeting. It is very pleasing to see everyone. So we're going to go right in. Do you have the screen? Do you have the? You don't have it.
I don't have the slides. I'm sorry.
Yeah. But we're going to go ahead and get started. And while we're waiting on Natalie, because she has the slides, I would like to open up for us to introduce ourselves and share what your feeling word is in one word. Could you share how you're feeling right now? Then we can go around. Let's start with you, Donna.
All right. Fair enough. Hello, everyone. I'm Donna Farrar with Wake LRC, and one word feeling right now is happy.
I'm Hal Thorne. I'm with Grace Home, and I am feeling blessed.
Ms. Davis.
Confident.
Tell us where you're from.
Hi, I'm Betty Corbett. I work with Family Resource Center South Atlantic as a volunteer housing specialist. And the gentleman ahead of me just took my word blessed, but I'm going to add two words then, since there's a trinity to the Godhead, better than blessed.
Awesome. Good to see you, Betty.
I'm Pamela Davis from Volunteers of America, Chesapeake and Carolinas, and I'm in the Durham office. and, as I said, confident.
Awesome.
I'm Lenarda, and I like to go next. I am feeling optimistic.
Awesome.
I can go next. I'm Allie, and I'm a housing social worker at Brookridge at a permanent supportive housing program. And I'm feeling overwhelmed, to be honest.
Yep, that's what we want. Irene?
Sorry, multitasking a little bit.
Yep.
Yeah, my name is Irene Lawrence. I'm one of the 3 new community development specialists with the reentry and transition services team under Monica Artis at TPS. And I'm just here for, like, as part of my training to see how different LRCs work. Yeah, and I am feeling frantic at the moment.
Okay. Ms. Artis?
Hi, my name is Shanae Artis, and I am the Transition and Reentry Manager with Interfaith Prison Ministry for Women. And I'm feeling, I guess at the moment, cold, honestly, just like cold weather-wise.
Okay. And who's on the 919-436-0225? Okay.
If you're joining us by phone, you can hit star. Let me see. I think it's going slow.
Hi, everyone. Demetrius
Okay.
Poole here with the North Carolina Department of Public Safety, serve as a policy analyst. It's great to see you, Ms. Powell, on the call. I would like to say that I am excited for the endless possibilities and opportunities that 2022 has for us.
Awesome. Awesome. It's good to hear from you, Demetrius. Okay. Anyone else? Did we?
I think we captured everyone, and I know I will say we're trying to get in contact. Not sure, it must be some emergencies going on right now, so we do apologize. But Diana, I know that that you were a part of, and you invited me to participate in that roundtable session. So could you educate the this group on what that body of work is doing, and just let us know, how we could support, and then we'll go from there. And if you like, what I could do while we're waiting, we may not get Natalie, we could recap on what happened in September. We could definitely pull those slides up if that's what you'd like to do to go forward.
Okay. And also on behalf of Yemily, in her absence. So we want to just continue to remember her in prayer and just continue to lift her up. Okay, so as a community organizer in working in especially around in Southeast Raleigh, back in July, we had got information that an apartment complex was had been sold. And this was apartment that housed low-income individuals. Well, these individuals were being displaced. They had 30 days to move out. And so we immediately began to reach into our community, to other organizations, to our politicians, our city council, and our commissioners, and seeing how can we help these individuals as they transition. Can we slow this down a little bit to give us time to get the resources that we needed? So we started meeting every other Monday night. We started out at Macedonia New Life Church, and then we transitioned over to Martin Street Baptist Church. And with the pandemic, we've been doing some virtual meetings. But nevertheless, with our mayor, with our county commissioners, everybody coming to the table with our faith-based community, we saw that there was a need. We just could not just have these people just displaced. DHIC, Raleigh Housing Authority, Wake Housing Authority, everybody came to the table, and Telemon was one of those organizations or programs that was taking applications for rental assistance. And that took off. It was a heavy lift. Also, Wake County stepped in with a big heavy lift. And so out of all those tenants that was over in that community, I would say 80% of them did find housing out of the meeting that we convened. So moving forward, we Telemon, which is House Wake, their deadline ended this past Monday. And so therefore they were taking over 10,000 calls a week of individuals that need assistance with rental assistance. So with that being said, now that that program has ended, we decided to continue to convene and work together because we know that housing is a big issue within our community. So therefore, those meetings will continue every Monday night. Right now, it is virtual. And so I can get the link out to Lenata so we can make sure that you all are plugged in. You will find it very interesting, especially when you got our elected officials involved in their staff. You can really see them doing the work that we have elected them to do. So thank you.
Yes, and I have that link because it was my intention, but unfortunately I had another service I had to attend, memorial service on Monday, but I'm going to put that link in the chat, and it's always the same link. Isn't that correct, Diana?
Yes.
Okay. All right. And you said it's on particular Mondays. Do you know on the next
Monday? Yes.
Okay. And what's the name of the group? Housing?
It's Community Housing Committee.
Okay, community.
Okay. Mm-hmm. And this last Monday, we had over 55 participants in that meeting.
Oh, wow.
Yes. And also our Congresswoman, Deborah Ross, she was on the call as well.
That's awesome. How many of those were attendants?
Majority of them.
Okay.
Yep, over half.
That's awesome.
And that's the message we've been putting out, is that the ones that are in need, they really need to get engaged in these meetings. So that's why our numbers were so high this past Monday.
I'm sorry, I'm typing. Can someone check the next meeting date for me? And I'll put that in here.
February the 7th.
Q7.
And it's virtual.
All right, so that information is in the chat. And give me a second. Let me pull up. Don, if you've got it pulled up, you can. Oh, there's Natalie. So we don't need to pull that up. All right, so we can transition over to Natalie. I think she's got some slides. Natalie, you want to send them to me? Or are we doing it differently? We can't hear you. We still can't hear you, Natalie. You're on mute.
Sorry, couldn't see my mic. Thank you, guys. Sorry about being late. I had a mishap on my feet. They didn't want to stay up under me.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
That's
Natalie,
okay.
just wanted to share what Diana did for us. She just gave an update on the community housing committee meetings. And so we just shared that information. I don't know, I didn't see when you came in on what the elected officials and the community is doing collectively to address that particular concern with that housing complex sitting down. So we've also shared the link. The next meeting date is February 2nd. And so members are also able to participate in that as well.
Okay. And Lenarda, should I email you this PowerPoint?
Yes.
Is that what you want?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
I'll do that now. I do
Yes.
apologize.
Yes. And I think just for correction or clarity, Natalie and Diana will also share this link in an email following the meeting today for that housing committee work group that happens every other Monday. Is that correct? Is that what we're going to do?
Yes.
Email.
Mhm.
Okay. All right. Cool. Good.
All right. You pull that up.
All right. Just received it.
It's a good thing, Diana, that we talked earlier. I'm telling you.
Yes.
I don't know. Keep living, y'all. Woo. All right. So as soon as Leonardo pulls it up, we'll go. And I'm sure Diana has already done the welcome and all of those things and asked everybody to put their name and email in the chat. So I don't have to cover those things. But I did want to start on somewhat of a somber note. But I think it's important for us to start here. Leonardo, your screen isn't being shared yet. You're waiting for me, aren't you?
No, it's scanning.
Uh-oh. So the work that we do is so important, and it cannot be accomplished by individuals. It is most effectively accomplished when we work together collectively as a team. When we started this project, we didn't have an executive committee. And so our subcommittees got about the business of doing the work. And that is so commendable. You know, we started looking at what those gaps were. Everybody shared what gaps they knew were existing in the community as it related to resources for returning citizens, as it related to the systems that our clients have to learn how to navigate. And then we created those priorities based on everyone's feedback. One of the things I'm charged to do today is kind of give an update of where we are. Wrong one, sorry. Is that what I sent you? Yeah, we're not in May. We're not in May. So what I was saying is that we have come a long way, and we've done quite a bit of growing since we started. And we now have assembled our executive committee, and I just don't see it, our executive committee. And a part of what that executive committee does is really work to help guide the development of our priorities, but also how we can work as a team to accomplish them. So what we will have added right now, what we have to leadership is a subcommittee chair and also a co-chair or vice chair. Some committees have co-chairs. But in addition to that, the leadership will now have a liaison from the executive committee who will work to make sure that our priorities are aligned with the strategic plan that the executive committee is getting ready to develop. And they will be working to develop a 2 to 3 year plan, and will be coming back to us. The liaison will be coming back to us to share those goals and find out from us the hard work that you guys have been doing since we started. And so part of what Diana wants to lead us into today is really fine tuning maybe our top 3 areas that we want to push out to our liaison. And it's very timely that we do it now because the executive committee just formed and they haven't held their elections for officers yet. But once that liaison comes on board, then we can equip the liaison with the work that you guys have already been doing as a subcommittee. Did you get it, Leonardo?
I did, but it says I don't have access to open it. But I have made you.
I can open it. I can open it. That's not a problem. I can share it.
Okay, you're a co-host.
Yeah. Thank you.
Mhm.
And guys, I do apologize. This is certainly not how we conduct our business. I am co-host, so that means I should be able to share screen. Okay. So you guys have already covered these things. I will go, where do I find presentation mode?
Bottom.
Bernarda?
Bottom screen, that white banner, I can't see it anymore. But
Okay,
yeah,
I see it.
yeah,
I see
yeah,
it.
there you
I
go.
see it. Yeah, I'm so used to looking at it at top on Teams that I couldn't find it. I do apologize. So you guys have already advanced through these things. This is sort of our agenda. And I'm going to backtrack from an update to start with a tribute. This committee work started with Lenarda explaining all of what we needed to accomplish, and the work groups formed. One of the first volunteers to be a chair of a subcommittee was Miss Bernadette McAllister. And it's with great sadness, for those of you who don't know, Bernadette did pass. And we just want to acknowledge her leadership in really starting the subcommittee work. And we just wanted for all of our subcommittees, and we'll mention this again in our council meeting, to understand the great loss that we have suffered, but to understand she started this work with all of us in mind, and we can pick up the baton and keep moving it forward in honor of what she started. And so I just wanted to take a moment to recognize her commitment and hard work to what we have done. So the next update I'm supposed to give updates is that we now have a logo. So Wake LRC has, you'll see 2 logos here. Really, it's only one. And this one at the bottom that actually says Local Reentry Council and spells it out is our main logo. But there are some things that we might print, for instance, our reentry backpacks, where I could imagine that a participant might not want people to see Local Reentry Council on their back. So we took the words out and just left the logo. But this was the hard work of Donna and Lenarda and our marketing manager, Ms. Brenda Wilkinson, and our reentry team, really to take into account all of what we've heard from you guys. And that is what we want to present, is an open door of access to opportunity. And that's what the work of our subcommittee is doing, the work group. So that's our logo. The update on our expansion, we have presented to the Public Safety Committee of our county commissioners, and they have fully embraced the Local Reentry Council and the work that you all are doing, and the need to reach more, build capacity, not only from a staff perspective, but also from a service perspective. And so we've made some internal changes with our staffing, and then we're adding positions as well. So I wanted to review that with you guys. I've always been the reentry program manager, but also under my responsibilities fell our federal Roads to Reentry grant. And I no longer have to manage that project. 100% of my focus now is on expanding the work that you guys are doing, that the executive committee is doing, and all of the network building that Lenarda is doing out into the community, large, far, and abroad, so that we can bring more awareness, funding, and opportunity to the clients we serve. So in addition to my position transitioning from kind of a hybrid position to managing the expansion of the council, we will be adding 2 case managers, and that's our 2 case managers, a community resource specialist, and an employer engagement specialist. Our first priority was to add the case manager positions. There are 2 of those positions. One is a behavioral health position that will work with men and women transitioning from state or federal prison, as well as the detention center. The second case management position focuses primarily on the detention center population. As you know, the LRC funding came from DPS, and the priority of that funding was our state prison system. We still served men and women released from the detention center, but this allows us now to be intentional about focusing strategies to reach that population as well. We will start, we posted those positions and had over 120 applicants, and we'll start top 5 interviews this Friday, and we will go from there. By next week, we will have posted hopefully by next week, we'll have the community resource specialist position posted. That's a very key position as well, because the person in that role is going to focus primarily on housing as a resource and really getting to the table of all of the programs that are meeting around housing insecurities and housing resources. So as Diana shared earlier, the initiative with everybody coming together in the community to address housing and the need for housing, this person will be at that table. This person will also work with the department under Lorena, and she shared that the housing navigation team is up and going. We see this person as someone who will work with that team very closely with that team to align the work that you guys have already identified as a priority. How do we get in front of the landlords? How do we have that conversation? And so our resource specialists can work alongside the housing revitalization department to figure those things out so that we're not knocking down the doors of the resources, but that we are working together with agencies that are already reaching landlords so that we just express the need and benefit to also include our community. The employer engagement specialist will be the second year position. Let me go back. The community resource specialist in their second year will begin to focus on our peer support and mentoring component. It's important for us to build the foundation of that piece so that there is someone that can help our participants, your participants, navigate all of the systems that are out there. I think about the frustrations that I've experienced just in trying to help people figure out where to start. And if it's frustrating for us, imagine how frustrating and destructive it is for our clients to be faced with how to deal with the challenges that they have, but then also to figure out how to go and find the help. And so, although we're starting this focus under the community resource specialist, we kind of see that may possibly morph into its own role, because peer support and mentoring is a key piece to what our participants need. In year 2 of our expansion, we'll add an employer engagement specialist, and that individual will work hand in hand with identifying and expanding the work of our employment subcommittee, expanding the reach and capacity of what they are already doing with a network of employers, and then building out a second chance employment initiative so that it is a relationship that we build with employers, not a placement, but there is some preparation for the participants that we place with the employers, and then there's support that we offer to the employers long-term, or at least for an extended period, that helps our participants navigate the challenges that come up so that they can maintain their employment. So we're excited about this expansion. There is a second piece to this outside of adding the capacity to our staff, is to build out the capacity to our services. One of the things we're doing to address that is, I don't see it. I may have put it out of order. I'm sorry. Is our Wake Partners Reentry Small Grants. So through the expansion, we are offering opportunities for partners, new and old, to come up with creative ideas to serve our community, to reach the needs and help with addressing some of the barriers that our participants face. We had an information session this morning sharing information about the project, what we're looking for. They're up to 25,000, although the average award will probably be 10,000. If you have a project that would take the whole 25,000, put it forth. Please submit it. That's important. We're looking for creative ideas to serve this community. Some of the basic requirements is that you meet the submission deadline, which is February 11th at 5:15. Also, that it's serving a project that will serve residents who live within Wake County. Has to be a nonprofit agency, a Wake County nonprofit agency serving Wake County residents. Our county commissioners are really intent to making sure that these dollars are spent to reinforce the work that's being done within our community to help the citizens who live in our community. Agencies have to be approved by the state of North Carolina to receive grant funding. And then one of the requirements also would be that if you receive an award, you would have to become a Wake County vendor. Our dollars are only reimbursable through electronic means. And in order to do that, you have to be a Wake County vendor. That's a real easy process, but that is a requirement. Once the awards have gone out, anyone who is awarded a grant would have to attend a reporting workshop after the awards are made. If you have questions about that project, what I don't have is Sharon Tabron Jones's contact information, but I will put her email in the chat while Diana is moving forward.
Natalie, I wanted to share that I did put in the chat the link to that that grant information, and Sharon's information is on that website. So I believe that that link is also taking individuals to the Zoom session that was recorded live today. So
okay. Thank you, Lenarda. That is really important. Some of you were at that meeting, but not all of you were. And what we did is ask for those who were present to think about your colleagues who are doing some of the same work, who are addressing these barriers and helping men and women navigate systems around returning and being reestablished to their communities here in Wake County. Pass the information on. It wasn't a requirement that you come to the information session. The minimum requirements are there. Sharon's contact information is included. The other piece to our expansion is that we've added our executive committee, and that's what I was talking about in some of the dead space. I'm sorry. But what our executive committee has is the leadership to the work that we do, and the connection back between the intermediary agency, the council, and NCDPS, our grant funder. And so there is a leadership role on the executive committee, and that is for them to be a subcommittee liaison. Each of the subcommittees will have a liaison. And as I mentioned earlier, when that person has been elected, he or she will work closely with this committee and the leadership of this committee to make sure we know what priorities they have set, and to help us align the priorities that you have established with the strategic plan that they are creating. I keep waiting for somebody to advance it. And I want to think that's all for me, right? I don't have the agenda. I'm sorry. Neither do you. So now I will turn it over to Diana. She's given the update on the housing initiative, but she wants to lead us in a conversation about our priorities. And I will take the notes on that, Diana, and where we want to go, so that we have a core set of priorities that we present to our liaison to advocate on our behalf, to make sure that the priorities you all have identified are considered as they're working through the strategic planning process.
Okay, thank you, Natalie, for all that you are doing and continue to do in this work. And we know that housing is very challenging, especially with so much that is going on with redevelopment, the gentrification, and people are being displaced, especially those individuals that are returning citizens back into our community. It's very challenging for them. As we have worked hand in hand with certain individuals and seen the challenges that has been there. So as a subcommittee, we do want to go back and kind of revisit some of the priorities that we had started with, or if there's anything new that we need to focus on. Let's just start that conversation right there. Do anyone on here, I think Betty, do you remember some of the things that the priorities that we had talked about from the beginning, or anyone?
Diana, I do remember we talked about, of course, the contacting of the various landlords to get them on board to work with us, with our returning citizens. Also, we were going to, I think, build up that directory more. And I haven't had any contact concerning any of that, so I don't know where that is. But we also wanted to try to get more private landlords involved versus the public landlords, because they have the ability to make quicker decisions about their properties. And they are not only the ability, they have that sole ability to do so. That's the main one I remember, because that's what I was involved with.
Right. And we did come up with the list.
Right.
Wasn't there's a list developed?
We did have a list developed, and who I don't see is Lakeisha. George?
Natalie, do you want to check your chat?
Yes, I will.
That's a list of items that the committee decided that they wanted to focus on.
Okay.
I have those. Okay. So Diana, do you want me to just read off of this?
Yes, you can just read off.
So like she said, we started with creating that housing landlord list, which we fine-tuned. And I think our next step in that is the dialogue, the script for actually calling the landlords who are on that list. We had 4 volunteers that are ready to go for calling, but that was the last piece on that. The next priority we were looking at is coordinating advocacy with our county partners in the North Carolina Housing Coalition. I think they actually came and presented. They also did another meeting for us on the side, and a lot of the transitional housing partners attended that meeting. Does anybody have feedback on that?
I do not. Unfortunately, I'm not getting any of the communications for these meetings. I'm not sure when anything is set up.
So, well, we haven't had another meeting since the original since the
September.
September meeting to, that was our last meeting. So you hadn't missed anything, I promise. And that housing coalition meeting that we had, they came and presented here to our subcommittee. And the following week, there were 4 people. They invited us to come to a session to learn how to engage with the HMIS system. And to find out what housing partners or agencies were interested, because if you are part of the HMIS, certainly there's some reporting requirements, but then you have access, firsthand access to where the available housing is and how to connect your partners. And so I don't think many agencies actually follow through with that. If that's something you'd like for Diana and Yamali to revisit, we can certainly try to bring them back around to give an opportunity for you all to learn more. I work with the CLC, and I will tell you that the HMIS system is being revamped. They're looking for they have bids out now for a different platform for HMIS that may be more user-friendly, that is more returning citizen friendly, and other vulnerable communities as well. And so if you haven't attended any of those meetings, they're public meetings, and we provided that information. I can make sure it's in the follow-up email so that you can attend those meetings and hear what they're doing to address housing in our county, because it's important.
Also,
The other,
I was going to
Go
say
ahead.
I did. I'm sorry to interrupt, but I
That's
wanted
okay.
to say that I also just put in the chat that, of course, meeting information material can be accessed on Wake LRC, and I also put a link to our YouTube page. So just keep that in mind. And also we also repeat this during the large council meeting, so you can always access that information. And Ms. Corbett, if we need to get your email corrected or updated, please make sure that we get that. If you make sure you put your information in the chat box, so we'll get that corrected as well.
Yeah.
It's there.
Okay. Thank you. And then you all identified trying to streamline employer relationships with housing landlords. Now, I'm not sure what that means. If we want to put some meat around that, what does that mean exactly?
I have no idea.
Yeah,
I have no
I don't
idea.
either. I don't
My first
either.
time hearing it.
Say
Yeah.
that, Betty.
No, I was saying that's my first time hearing that one.
Yeah.
Well, we hadn't gotten to it yet.
Okay.
So it was a part of the initial determination of what your priorities would be. And so if you were here early on, you would have been a part of that conversation, but it may have just gone, past you, because we've been working hard on the landlord list. But if there's anyone on this call who knows or has an idea about what we mean, can you share that so we can consider whether or not we move forward on that? Because that may be an easy takeoff.
Read that complete title again, please.
I sure will. Give me 1 second. It is streamline employer relationships with housing landlords. And now in parentheses, it says accessing talent pool. Mm-hmm.
I wonder, this is just a question, what would that look like? And I know that's what you're saying, that's what you're asking, Natalie. What does that look like? What is the relationship between the employer and a housing landlord?
Yeah, I don't know, but what I do know is, we're wanting to fine tune our priorities. This may be an easy one that we say is, outside of where we want to go right now. Is that what I'm hearing? Since I'm not hearing anything, can you guys unmute?
Yeah, it may be something, because I've run into employees assisting those that are reentering back with housing, if that makes sense. They've their employer is assisting, or they may have property and they allow them to live there.
I got you.
Yeah.
I got you.
And one of the things I do remember being discussed was that finding employers to work with us with our returning citizens, so that we already have that list of employers who are going to be more friendly in working with our returning citizens, so that we don't have to kind of send them out helter-skelter anywhere. If you kind of have that employer list going, then these are employers that we could contact with. We could actually keep up with vacancies when they have them, so that we're keeping that information available to hand off to our returning citizens.
Well, and Ms. Corbett, you're absolutely right. And our employment subcommittee is on top of that. They're even looking at doing possibly doing a fair, an employment fair sometime later this year. So if that's what this is, are you guys okay with us sharing this with the employment subcommittee and allowing them to work on this piece so that we narrow our focus?
Yes.
Yes. I mean, I think we did this at the very beginning before.
You're right, we did.
We were really focused on who's going to be doing what. So I think that would be an easy slide over. Okay,
I agree. Can you guys see this list?
Yes.
Okay, all right. So the next one we have on here is sex offender housing, resources, employment, all of that. And I think every subcommittee we have is addressing the issue of resources for this specific population, because there are limited resources. I will say that that's been a part of the conversation. I don't know if Diana can speak to whether or not that's been a part of the conversation at the community meetings, but I do know that it has been a part of the conversation at our COC meetings. And I will say also, it was a part of the conversation when we met with our public safety committee of the county commissioners, is understanding there really is a huge need for resources, particularly housing for individuals convicted of sex offenses. Is anyone on this call aware of any groups that are getting together to meet to address this issue?
I know that as a statewide coordinator for the Second Chance Alliance, that has been a conversation that we have been talking about going before our legislators, possibly getting a bill to get some relief around our sex offenders, because just because a person is on the registry, it doesn't always mean the same.
That's right.
It doesn't always mean the same. For example, I got a call this morning that a family has been living in a hotel for about 6 months, and the probation officer just happened to walk through and recognize this individual and knew that he was a sex offender, or knew that he was on the register, and told the hotel manager. So now him and his family is out. Wow. So now we got to find another hotel that's willing to take them in.
Wow.
So yeah, so those are the things that we are conversating about, is we got to get some more relief from our legislators and changing the laws on that.
Yeah, and even I know there's been a lot of work around not having every offense classified the same. Right. So even making sure that there's a differentiation between levels of offense. So, you know, our advisory committee of the LRC is that advocacy piece. And if you're passionate about this work, then I say, please attach yourself with that committee, because that's where the advocacy piece goes forward. And that's important. Section 8, housing vouchers. Let me go back to sex offender housing. Is this in our wheelhouse to address this? And if so, what would we do as a subcommittee to address it or advance the challenge? What does that look like?
Now,
Well, go ahead.
I was going to make a recommendation that at some of these community meetings that do happen after hours, I think it's important that our face is there. So I'm really glad that Natalie and Diana shared that link with us. And there may be even, like I said, some others on the call that are participating, but I think it's also really important for us to speak up and say, hey, remember our justice involved individuals, remember that part, that other vulnerable population, and included with that is this particular group, those individuals with sex offenses in their backgrounds. So that's one suggestion, again, to make sure, one, we're present where we need to be, and we don't all have to be there, but we need to have representation, whatever that looks like. And then we also, I think we talked about this before, but make sure when we speak up, our messaging is consistent. So that messaging piece is also there, and just making sure that that piece of our priority area is also included in that plan. So that was just my 2 cents.
Okay. I have a question.
Sure, go ahead.
Okay, and Diana, I heard someone just mentioning the differentiating in the levels or the categories when we're talking concerning sex offenders. Is there already a delineation of categories, or is that something that they're talking about creating?
There is not. That is something that is being talked about as being created.
Okay, that's what I thought. Okay, because I think that when that happens, we need to make very sure that those of us who work with educating landlords and/or tenants make sure that's included as a piece of what we present. Because I know when we talk about felons, that information isn't always shared. The information that came down from HUD, the categorization and when they can and cannot hold that against someone if they're using HUD dollars or some other government dollars. And so I think that we need to make sure that these things are a part of our education pieces when we're doing tenant landlord education.
That's perfect, Ms. Corbett.
Yeah.
So that's something we can do around this priority. The other thing I heard is that maybe we need to look at what our messaging is. What is our messaging? What is our position on housing for individuals convicted of sex offenses? What would we like to see happen?
Well, I think we have to visit of how it started and how they were sentenced during their sentencing, because a lot of them do not know how to fight their case, right? So they're so easy to take a plea deal, and it doesn't even necessarily have to be that they did it. It's just that they're at a point of just ready to move on, take this plea, and not understanding that if you took this plea, you're on the registry and you're on there for life. And that's another part that we got to address our legislators about. There should be a time limit if they have not reoffended in this area, that they should come off that sex registry.
And Diana, along with that, Diana,
Mhm.
some of the individuals that I've worked with in finding housing, in our conversation, they've stated that, you know, they had a public defender.
Mhm.
That person basically told them that was their only option.
Yep, that happens.
And so, again, these things need to be addressed openly, and perhaps they need some educating. Not
No, I
the law,
think
but
that
on this, giving this advice to their clients, what that really means.
Mhm.
Not, I mean, for that moment, it might be good, but how that's going to impact them down the road.
Mhm. Mhm.
Absolutely.
You know, we can certainly create some language. Do you all want to create some language that would just be shared? We can certainly share it with our bar, just about the collateral consequences of that, and how it impacts housing for this community once they are released. That is something that this committee could do. You guys could certainly do that. Beyond that, I see this as one that we would slide over to the advisory committee. But what are you all's thoughts? That's just my thought. What are you interested in doing?
I think it's good to slide it over to the advisory committee, but I think we still need to be engaged in that piece, not to just let it go. And I'm going to be honest, when I first started, I wouldn't have anything to do with sex offenders. Just by that label of being a sex offender, but I had to educate myself and become, you know, passionate about, because I saw individuals that were charged that didn't actually happen. Yeah. So yeah, I think that it's an easy slide over to advisory committee, but I believe that the housing committee still needs to stay heavily engaged with the messaging and how we're educating each other as well as the community.
That's true.
I would agree with that.
That's true.
Okay.
One more
Appreciate
question.
what you said. I want to say I appreciate what you just shared, Diana. I think we also probably need to question how we feel about it, because you said you had an opportunity to educate yourself. So we shouldn't make an assumption that everyone on this call is where you are. So that's one thing. And two, do others on this call need to educate themselves? So I'll just put that out there as well to see what the impact is. I feel like I can name a few people on the call that know what the impact is. Those that are that have worked directly in this environment. Everybody, we have a diverse committee here. Everybody on this call isn't directly working in housing. We have a vested interest in it, but I think we need to just really think about that as well. I'm gonna be quiet.
No need. But I think you raise a good point, you know, and is that something we should do together as a committee? Should we have someone come in that helps us understand more, so that we can't create messaging about something we don't understand?
Correct.
That's right.
Correct.
So anyone on this call who has a resource of someone who can come in and begin to educate us so that we can create our messaging. If we are wanting to have messaging around housing, then we have to understand who we're advocating for, and so that we can do a better job of it, or determine whether or not it's something we can do. Like Diana, you know, 15 years ago, I worked with domestic violence batterers, but I would not work with sex offenders. And now how ignorant is that when you think about domestic violence and sex offense? There's a lot of sexual assault that happens in domestic violence, right? But that was my ignorance. And I'm not ashamed to say that. You know, I have worked through those, lots of different issues, but I think anybody who has an idea of how we can become more educated as a subcommittee, as a council, then if we can get that information to Diana and Yamali, maybe we can look at how to get the information out and educate ourselves. I think later in this presentation, Diana is going to talk to you all about what we want to move forward. What presentations do you want at the council, at your subcommittee? So, so I think what I heard is that we see this not being in our wheelhouse to resolve, that we really see the advocacy piece of this being the advisory committee. But we still want to be engaged, in educating ourselves and then creating what our messaging will be about this. Is that correct?
That's correct.
That's correct. I wanted to add something to that also in reference to the sex offenders, and we definitely have to be on one accord, which means, you know, everyone needs to know the breakdown of the different sex offenses as well, what they you know can be charged with. So like you have two high school kids, one's a senior, one's a freshman, and just those couple of years they're dating, they're both in high school. But if the parent of, you know, the boy is on the football team, the girl is a cheerleader, the two are dating, parents know it, but the football player, you know, just kind of into other women and stuff, and the mother gets mad or the father gets mad, and they can call the police, and that person can be charged if he's so many years older.
Yep.
And so now he's charged as a sex offender, and they had, you know, they were dating. They're in high school. They're high school kids. You know,
and there are many cases.
And a lot of them, because we've had quite a few in our transition program that were in that particular situation, and then their lives have been ruined. But you know, when you say sex offender, the immediate focus and thought, and this is, you know, on the back of everybody's mind when you first hear it, until you learn a little bit more, is that, you know, they broke in and you know, raped some 90-year-old woman, or, you know, just all kind of violence and things like that. And that's not the case with a lot of it, you know, or it's a husband and a wife, and just other things, you know, just other issues that come into play. And like someone was saying about the public defenders and getting these guys to plead to things that, you know, that really didn't happen the way that they described it. You know, so yeah, so we definitely need to educate ourselves in order for us to be able to effectively communicate this to other people.
Yeah. Thank you, Theo. I think at a respect of time, I certainly burned up a lot of you all's time on the front end, but it is now 1:34. What I'd like to do is kind of, I'll share the slides, Diana, if you want to move us through the announcements and next steps. I think this is good. Diana and I will write up what has come from this meeting and send it out. If there's anything that we've left out from this conversation, guys, if you will look at it sooner while it's fresh in your mind and get that feedback to us, that would be really helpful.
Okay, so at this point we're at, is there any announcements, new announcements, something that is coming up?
Yes, the next expungement clinic. So just a reminder, Wake Local Reentry Council in partnership with NC Works Career Center, Diana Powell's Justice Serve NC, went blurry there, as well as Legal Aid of North Carolina, partnered to host expungement clinic every month on the first Thursday of the month. So the next one is scheduled on February 3rd. That time is from 11 to 1. I'm sure that will also be included in the email, that follow-up email with that flyer. It's free and open to the community. And also just remember, we have a F&S, Food and Nutrition Services case manager on site every Thursday here at the NC Works Career Center, and that's on off Capitol Boulevard in Tillery Place. We're just a few doors down from the Green Chair Project.
Also, we here at Just to Serve, we have the masks, the N95 masks that we are distributing out to the community. And if you all that have organization or whatever and need some, just let me know and I can get you all a couple of boxes.
Just a reminder that the deadline to submit the Wake Partners grant, more information will be in the follow-up email, but that's February 11th. Please take a look at it and see if it's an opportunity for you to advance some of your creative ideas around helping returning citizens. The next council meeting is February 24th at 1 o'clock. And our next meeting will be March 24th from 12:30 to 1:30. Is there anything we left out, guys? We're a little bit over and I do apologize for that. All right, if not, then I would say thank you so much for your time. Enjoy the rest of your day and visit some of the other subcommittee meetings this afternoon. Thank you.